Salutations fellow comrades, Cloaked here, and today I'll be reviewing the newest evolution to my channel Beyblade, Insignia Dragoon. Now, Insignia Dragoon is the evolution to Hurricane Dragoon, is a right spinning attack type Bay, and it's using the revival system. Now, Insignia Dragoon has two different modes, which is tower mode and normal mode, and it kinda has a driver chain. So without further ado, let's start off with the parts, and that being the driver Nebula. So here we got Insignia Dragoon. Now Insignia Dragoon, as I mentioned, is evolution to Hurricane Dragoon. Now some of the differences between Hurricane and Insignia is that it's more flat over here, or more round actually, instead of having exposed at here and here. It's kind of got this different type of shape that utilizes the kind of same technique I use on Curse Osiris, with a 1x1 with a hole and then a teeth piece to kind of make this a little round attack part. And this top right here is very reminiscent of Revival, with a little bit of difference with these teeth pieces right here to give it a little more defense and attack. Now most of the attack of this layer base or this Beyblade comes from the disc, which has these four protruding edges that give some extra attack, but these edges can also be popped in to give it a little more rounder attack. So now that I've kind of explained the Bay a little bit, let's go over the parts, starting out with the driver. Now the driver Nebula is a right spinning or an attack type driver with a lot of LAD. Now it is a whole flat driver, and he uses an axle connection with rubber tire around it. It has a smaller disc around here which is connected to the driver, which is free spin. Then it's got this outer disc which is also free spin, and then it's got this top part here which is also free spin, which makes it very good for Life After Death. But the rubber does kind of ruin it, and you might think due to all this free spinning action it has, it might be very slow. Wrong. It is one of the quickest drivers I've ever made. It's so quick, in fact, I can barely launch it at full strength without it just blowing up. So yeah, that was the driver. Let's go over to the disc. So here we got the disc, claw. Now the claw disc is a, right spinning disc. It has these four protruding edges, as I already said, to give it extra attack. Now the kind of early stages of Dragoon, it was seen that these protruding edges were gonna have a mode change. So if we put the layer on, the layer could kind of like turn, pushing these blades in, making a lot more rounder and giving it more smash attacks instead. But I scrapped that idea due to very low burst resistance. Now let's go on to the next part, the layer. Now here's the Insignia layer, and I might just say this is probably my favorite Dragoon layer. It is a fabulous right spinning attack type blade. It has these two empty spaces right here to kind of balance it out a little more, and to kind of reduce the weight a little, due to if it had too much weight on it, it will probably break off. And I want to concentrate the weight to these two side points right here. Speaking of the side points, let's talk about them. So they kind of start off like every other Dragoon. So it's got these two cheese slopes and has its signature green eye. But instead of the normal like scale piece right here, as I said, it uses this 1x1 Technic pin with a claw on it to kind of create this sideways contact point, which kind of goes in. Now currently it is in normal mode, but if you take these off and turn it around, you get the so-called tower mode. Now in the tower mode, originally it was going to have more mode changes, but now it just adds a lot of attack. So when it goes up, it goes deeply into it and then goes back off this, and it gets layer contact right here. So it's very good for attack, not too good to reduce recoil, which it kind of suffers from. It has so much recoil that it kind of knocks itself out or it breaks itself. Now to the top contact points, it also starts off like these contact points with two G-slopes. Now these two top ones have golden eyes instead, the kind of signature, so dummy heads, due to these two being the only real heads of a Dragoon. Now we got some translucent blue right here, translucent blue and red. They kind of variate between this, between red, white, and light green. Now, not light green, trans green. And I absolutely love this. I love the like how bold the non-trans colors are, and how much the trans colors pop. Like due to this, it makes the non-trans colors pop, but also the trans colors pop a lot. So it's a very colorful bay. Now, back here we just got a simple teeth piece, which is pretty simple for attack. It doesn't add too much, but it does add enough so it gets a hard enough hit. Now, there's a little difference between this part and this part. That being, I'm using a different piece. Now, why is that? I want to kind of make this one a little bit off balanced, so it hits a little harder. That's why I also removed a little bit weight from these 2 points, since this one is a little bit off balanced. So now, let's talk about the last part, the chip Dragoon 3. So here we got, not the 3rd, but the 5th Dragoon chip, because it's the 5th iteration. Now this Dragoon chip has is very similar to Hurricane and has the same motif. It's the 2 heads of Dragoon and its neck/lower body. So its body is white with trans green eyes and a red head. Now these two, the red and blue, represent the 2 elements of Dragoon, that being ice and, no, not ice, water and fire. And if we turn it around, we can still see a little part of the gimmick, which was this free spinning bit, but it also has this 1x1 stud. Now you might ask, why is there a 1x1 stud there? It's due to the layer having a very good connection to the disc, and also this piece having actually pretty strong connections to the 2x4s. So that's actually a little dash variant of the chips. Yeah, a dash chip. So yeah, now that we have the core, actually the chip, the layer, the disc, and the driver, let us assemble it. So now we got Dragoon all put back together. Let's do some comparisons with my last review, Mercury Anubis, or not my last review, my last revival system review, Mercury Anubis. So the key difference between these 2 bays are height and size, with Dragoon being a little bit taller and a little bit bigger. Now, the kind of like difference between, so yeah, we kind of got their height changes. Now the difference between Insignia and Hurricane are pretty drastic. Hurricane is a lot more offensive, while this one is a little more passive. It's got less, it's got more help from the disc than from Hurricane, and the driver is a lot taller and more aggressive. So yeah, let's go over to the battles. So, Stadium, Mercury Anubis up against Insignia Dragoon, and maybe we'll see the new evolution to Calamity here. Who knows, excuse me. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of weak launch Dragoon, and we're gonna look at its 2 different modes. I'm gonna go shoot, and that's due to it being weak. So we're gonna do standard mode and rubber on the driver. As you can see, it's very quick, and that kind of ruins, you know, it's not burst rest, it's attack. So let's remove the rubber for a bit. Let's have it rubberless. Let's see how well it performs then. Because even though the rubber adds more attack, it really only works up against bays that are quick. Holy shice. We'll be right back, folks. Okay, I'm back. Thanks for waiting, folks. So, a little problem with Mercury, which I didn't address in this video, not Divine, is that it can pop open like so if launched hard enough. So I am guessing that was what happened right here. So yeah, it's kind of like a ticking time bomb. I kind of failed to address that since it wasn't too big of a problem, but it does seem to be a problem here. So we're still gonna go normal. Right back again. Okay, thanks for waiting once again, folks. Let's do a relaunch again. So, a flaw with Insignia 2 here. When the like contact points flies off, even though I put a ridiculous amount of putty. It still flies off. Don't know why. Okay, there. Good launch. It's kind of good as a tornado shot. As you can see, there we got some hits from Insignia and a knockout. So let me put it into tower mode right here. I still don't want to use rubber, but why not? Let us use rubber. So, tower mode Insignia and rubber added. So this is probably going to be the final battle. So yeah, due to all the technical difficulties to the combo shoot. And then another 3, 2, 1, go shoot. You know what, let's do another. That was kind of lame. Just didn't launch too hard. 3, 2, 1, go shoot. I don't think the rubber even made contact with the ridge. 3, 2, 1, go shoot. 3, 2, 1, go shoot. Oh wow! Oh! And that's we're gonna end this video off. And wow, you can see in this contact point, I just put new putty on it, and it's still coming off. Well, either way, hope y'all enjoyed my review of Insignia Dragoon. Oh, and folks, Happy New Year! This is my final review of 2022. Maybe watch this video to the end. Y'all might see a sneak peek. So without further ado, let me say goodbye, y'all, and Happy New Year's. Good night. Okay, now that other people have gone, stay tuned. Goodbye.